Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of TD 101. In this episode, we'll be looking at triangles. We'll be looking specifically at the different types of triangles and the different features that each triangle carries. Stay tuned. Okay, so what is a triangle? A triangle is a plane geometrical figure that is bounded by three straight sides. So I have here 6 types of triangles. The first 3 at the top are classified based on the length of their sides, while the last 3 are classified based on the angles that they contain. Now, a little information about triangles in general before we dig into each type. A triangle consists of 3 angles within them, 3 internal angles, and these angles always add up to 180 degrees, right? So if you know the first 2 angles of a triangle, you can determine the third angle by adding the sum of both and taking it away from 180. Now let's dig in. The first triangle that we have here is an equilateral triangle, and this triangle is named such because all 3 sides are equal. In this case, all 3 sides are 50 millimeters in length. And another thing that makes it an equilateral triangle is the fact that since all 3 sides are equal, that makes all 3 angles equal. Now, the second triangle that we have, this is the first, this is the second, is called an isosceles triangle because 2 of the sides are equal. And as a result of this, 2 of the angles are equal. So these 2 sides are equal. These 2 angles are equal, right? So once you know one angle, you know the other, since it's an isosceles triangle. And by knowing both angles, you can determine the third angle by the method I explained before. In an equilateral triangle, let me get back to this. The angle inside must be 60. If you divide 180 by 3, you will get 60. So each side is 60 since they are equal. Now for the isosceles triangle, these angles can be any measurement. Well, not any measurement under 90 degrees. And then the remaining measurement you can find. The third triangle that we will look at is the scalene triangle. Now, this triangle consists of no equal sides, meaning all 3 sides have different measurements. And as a result of this, all 3 angles have different measurements. So this, no sides are equal, 2 sides are equal, all 3 sides are equal. No angles are equal, 2 angles are equal, all 3 angles are equal. The angles in this triangle, which is the equilateral triangle, add up to, they are each 60 degrees. That never changes. The length of the sides may change, but the angles never change in an equilateral triangle. Now let's move on to the triangles, or the types of triangles that are classified based on the angles that they contain. Now you will see some overlapping take place in between the different types. Let me explain. The first triangle that we are looking at here is the acute triangle. This is so because all the angles in the triangle are acute angles. This angle, and this angle. If one of the angles in the triangle is not an acute angle, the triangle can no longer be classified as an acute triangle. No, the acute triangle can fall under either category. Since 60 degrees is an acute angle, this makes the equilateral triangle an acute triangle. So now you see the overlapping. The isosceles triangle is also an acute triangle because none of these angles that are equal cannot be 90, otherwise the triangle cannot be closed. Right? So the isosceles triangle and the equilateral triangle is by default an acute. Well, no, not necessarily. And I'll tell you why. If this angle, let me correct myself here, if this angle at the top is larger than 90 degrees, which it can, depending on how the triangle is formed. Let me give you an example here. Let me do a quick sketch. This is an isosceles triangle. These angles are equal. These lines are equal. But this angle is greater than 90 degrees. And as such, it is no longer an acute triangle, but this isosceles triangle is an acute triangle. That's the difference. Let's go back. So this is always an acute triangle, the equilateral triangle. The scalene triangle and the isosceles triangle, it depends on the angles that are inside. Let's go to the obtuse triangle. The obtuse triangle contains one angle that is an obtuse angle. And we all know that an obtuse angle is an angle that is greater than 90 degrees but less than 180 degrees. We know that an acute angle is an angle that is less than 90 degrees. So let's do another demonstration again. The obtuse triangle can never be an equilateral triangle because equilateral triangles contain 60-degree angles only, which is an acute angle. Now the obtuse triangle can be an isosceles triangle or it can be a scalene triangle. In this case, it is a scalene triangle because none of the sides are equal. It can also be an isosceles triangle. Let me show you how. This length is equal. This is different. Now these angles as a result are equal because you have two equal sides. This makes it an isosceles triangle. It is also an obtuse triangle because this angle is greater than 90. Angle, this is my angle sign, greater than 90. Angle is less. Alright, so if you look at the obtuse triangle again, you can realize that it can fall either as an isosceles triangle or a scalene triangle. The obtuse triangle contains one angle. In this case, this is the angle that is greater than 90 degrees but less than 180. Now, the right angle triangle is a triangle that consists of one 90-degree angle. Now, this triangle can also be a scalene triangle or an isosceles triangle. Let me demonstrate this. By default, you can see three different sides. That makes it an isosceles triangle, right? But it can also be an isosceles triangle. Let me draw the triangle again. 90 degrees here. When you're representing 90 degrees, you use a square as opposed to an arc. If these two sides are equal, automatically these angles are equal. So if this is 90, this angle will be 45, this angle will be 45, because three angles should add up to 180. Now you have two equal angles and two equal sides. As a result of that, that is an isosceles triangle, but this is also a right angle triangle. So if you realize that the triangles can overlap, there are two ways of classifying triangles: by the sides, the measurement of the sides, or by the angles that they possess. So I hope you grasp the concept. I hope you will take this information forward so that you can apply yourself in the different topics that are to come. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Please subscribe, like, and share the knowledge.